So it's come to this, huh? I don't want to get into my politics, and I don't want to get into major issues. I've gotten past that point. It took me it took me a while to get past that point to where it didn't bother me anymore. But there's some things in recent days, as well as some other things that have finally reached my breaking point. It's pushed past my breaking point to the point where, no pun intended, I really can't hold it in anymore. I have to get this off my chest. This is just going to be a rant video. It's not supposed to be anything major. There's no going to be cutscenes or anything of that nature, but I will sequence it off in sections. But I won't put any captions or anything like that. You're just going to have to follow along with me and see where it goes from there. So, basically what I'm putting it out as is society as a whole is so crazy now that everything I knew was right is either not right or flipped upside down so that the reverse is right. Or it's right, but in certain cases it's ridiculous nowadays what we're going through. And you know, I'm actually made a list for this because I wanted to finally get all these problems I've had off my chest once and for all. So let's start this off with a simple topic. Gender issues. I'm going to make this short and sweet. Gender issues, okay? There are only 2 biological sexes. 3 if you count hermaphrodites, which technically shouldn't count because that's technically not really a sex, it's a problem where you get both sexes. Biologically, you can only be male or female. Now, gender, yes, it is on a spectrum, okay? The reason it is on a spectrum is because until recent years, gay, bisexual, or transgenderism was looked at as bad. They had different technical names for it, and now transgenderism, also known as gender dysmorphia, is not looked at as bad, and neither are the other two, gay or bisexual. And that's fine. I'm all for that. I have plenty of gay friends. I have plenty of bisexual friends. I have plenty of gay and bisexual and trans friends, family. Okay? None of that bothers me. That's perfectly fine. Okay? I have nothing but the utmost respect for them because they're awesome human beings and they're great. But here's where the problems come into play. Transgenders don't really fit into a gender spectrum scale. And the reason I say that is simple. There's only 2 variations of the spectrum. There's male and there's female. Gender has to correlate with sex. Because if it tries to go outside of the spectrum of sex, you get made up bullshit that doesn't exist, that doesn't work. It's made up. It's nonsense. And here's where the confusion goes. Biologically, you can be male and female. In genders, you can be born a male, but in the transgender mind, you can be born a male, but technically you'll fall on the spectrum of female, all the way over here. Same thing applies to females being born female, but really feel male. That's how it goes. You can't be anything else. There are 2 genders for a reason. You can't be another gender, okay? And the reason why is, again, gender falls in correlation with sex. Sex has been found to be proven that through the use of chromosomes, because science is a magical thing that we've had for plenty of years, that you can only be male and female. Any additives to chromosomes such as XXY or XYX or XYY or XXY or wait, I said that, or whatnot. Usually those are just diseases or problems that cause mental illnesses or cause stuff like mental handicaps or anything else of that nature. You know, that's what those are. They're not different genders. If they were, you wouldn't have the stereotypical male-like genders or the stereotypical female-like gender or sexual organs. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say gender. Sexual organs. With that being said, the reason why there can't be non-binary, gender fluid, or any other fucking genders that these people have made up is simply because there is no evidence scientifically to prove that they exist. And I know what you're thinking, but gender's different than sex. It kinda is and it kinda isn't. Again, gender is a spectrum, where sex is just one or the other. But the spectrum still has to fall on the spectrum of male and female. There can't be anything in between. You may not identify as a male and a female and say you're non-binary, but you're mentally ill. It's a mental illness to think you're not male or female. That's body dysmorphia problems. I don't know the technical term, but it's around that ballpark. There is an actual disorder for it. Body dysmorphia syndrome, or disorder, is what it's called. Body identity disorder, or something like that. Okay? That's basically what non-binary people are stating. Which, that's fine. You're not crazy if you have a mental illness. It's just, that's you. You're special. But that doesn't mean it's its own gender. You can't technically be non-binary as a gender. You know why? Because if you're born smooth, everything, that's a defect. That's not a different gender or sex for that matter. In fact, it's never been able to happen. As far as I know, I've never heard any medical diagnoses or documents or anything else of that nature that proves that. Okay? As for this gender fluid bullshit where you go in and change through different genders day after day, hour after hour, or something like that, that's a mental illness too. That's multiple personalities or schizophrenia, which, being a person that has both of them, I know what you're going through. You know, I have those personalities come in that either can be female, I only have a few female personalities, and the rest are male. And sometimes they're different, okay? That's not a different gender. I'm not differently gendered. I just have a slight mental illness that is functioning. I'm a high functioning with that, okay? I can able to control it a lot better than I have. But that's what that is. There can't be more than two genders. I'm sorry. Science is against you. Even if you want to say that your feelings and other people are trying to go with your feelings as facts, it's not. The facts are against you, 100%. Now let's put this to rest, put this to bed, and leave it alone. And it's so bad that people have gotten this so bad. Even Bill Nye, a person who was an advocate for science, super advocating for science, went on his new show, Bill Nye Saves the World, and even stated that there's more than two genders. He's fallen into the stupid liberal SJW trap. It's ridiculous. Science has disproven it. There is no concrete evidence for that. Whereas there is concrete evidence for two genders and two sexes. And that's all I'm saying on the matter. I'm leaving everything based on politics or religion out of this. This is just facts. Pure facts. Hope you all know. Next, I wanted to get this out on the open. Roseanne Barr lost her job because of a tweet. And they're calling it racist. I can see where some people would come from saying it's racist because Valerie Jarrett, who technically doesn't look like a black woman, but is, and be in comparison to, the tweet was basically Muslim Brotherhood plus War of the Planet of the Apes had a baby equals BJ, which is standing for Valerie Jarrett. I understand where people are coming from with it being racist, but come on, some people just look like fucking apes. She kinda does. I'm not trying to be racist here, but she kinda does. Ron Perlman looks like an ape. It's not just, black or white. Some Asians I've seen look like silverback gorillas, okay? But in the past, okay? I'm a huge advocate for freedom of speech, okay? We'll get to that later. But for now, we're going to focus on this. Roseanne Barr lost her job over something stupid, and she apologized for it. Great. Congratulations, you apologized. Do I fully think she should have apologized? Yeah, kinda a little bit, I do. And the reasons why I say yeah, because it can be misconstrued as racist. I know she was making a joke, but still, that was a little bit too far, Roseanne. I still love you to death, but it was too far. Then again, I also believe that the people were just out to get her from day one, since she came out not only as a Trump supporter, but also came out with her new show, Roseanne, the reboot, as a Trump supporter in that as well. Basically, viciously attacking all these stupid ideals, going against what people nowadays in Hollywood are creating as the norm. That's smart. I'm glad she did that. But of course, when you do that, your show is on the rocks and it will get destroyed. They'll find the first thing that they can to condemn you and crush you with. And that just so happened to be the one that crushed Roseanne. Same thing happened to Tim Allen with his Last Man Standing show, because he was a conservative and he didn't go with the ideals of liberal Hollywood. Now, I'm not going to sit here and state anything good or bad on that. That's not my point. My point is to say that what happened to Roseanne is ridiculous in comparison to what happened with Samantha Bee. Now, I don't like Samantha Bee. I never found her funny, whereas Roseanne I found hilarious. Always have. But Roseanne, the difference between both of them is, well, I don't condemn Samantha Bee for calling Ivanka Trump a feckless cunt. That's perfectly fine. You can say whatever the hell you want. I mean, probably not on national television, but still, you can say whatever you want. Freedom of speech should allow you to say whatever the hell you want, no matter what. I don't care what anyone says. I don't care what Trump says. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care what the homeless man attacking the fucking, guy next door has to say. That's your opinion. That's your freedom of speech, as long as you're not inciting violence or defamation, which it's a bit skiffy on defamation. Caricatures are fine, but defamation would have to be flat out just going against their reputation and defaming them based on one little thing. That's bad, and that should be rightfully condemned. But I digress. The difference between what happened to Roseanne and Samantha Bee is Samantha didn't get fired. It's still on the rocks, but still. Most of the time, she's not even get fired. And even some people are not even condemning her. They're actually going with her, saying, yeah, Ivanka Trump's kind of a cunt and all that stuff. Freedom of speech allows you to say that. That's fine. I don't have to agree with you, but still, that's fine. But here she is, a person that supported Trump, Roseanne, does something stupid and gets fired. Samantha Bee, a liberal who was against Trump, says something stupid, doesn't get fired. See the double standard there? That's all I'm pointing out. That's stupid. And now I'm moving on from that. It's enough. Next, racist, sexist issues. Seems like nowadays everything is racist and sexist. I could be eating a hamburger that's crispy, and it would be considered racist. I could say I love women with everything in my heart, and that would be considered sexist because I look like a white male. I'm male, I'm mostly Cherokee, but I also have a lot of Italian. So yeah, in the spirit of some people, I would be classified as a cisgender white male. I put cisgender in quotes because that's just another stupid as attempt of saying, hey, guess what? You're straight. Unless you're talking to some of these people who believe that straight is just a disorder and not really a thing, and that everybody's gay and bisexual. They're retarded. Those people need to be, because they're retarded. You shouldn't have them give birth to anyone either. Now, I'm not telling you to go out there and kill them. I'm making a joke. Okay? You should never kill anyone for that. And if I hear that somebody did that based on what I said, I would feel bad. And I would condemn them right out. Why? Because don't kill anyone for something stupid like that. The only time you should ever kill anyone is if you're in self-defense. Okay? But still, everything is racist and sexist nowadays. And I won't get into too many details about it. I just feel like it's ridiculous how we've lost the meaning of sexist, the meaning of racist, okay? And it all started with the election, of course. And that's ridiculous. To call somebody a racist is for something minor or sexist for something minor is just ridiculous. Here, we'll give you some examples of what they're trying to claim as racist and what they're trying to claim as sexist. We'll go off from there. Racist. We'll go with Trump. Trump was considered a racist because of what people would say. He wanted to deport all Mexicans, call them all rapists. That's false. He wanted to deport illegal immigrants, which just so happened to be the Mexicans that he was pointing out for this. And he stated that all the ones coming over illegally were doing rapes. I don't want to say all of them because that's a bit much, but there is a lot of rapes happening from illegal immigrants. And to deny that is denying statistics. It's statistics. You're denying facts. But they claimed he was racist for that. Then the Muslim ban happened, which Obama was the first one to start that. He brought it up again, and they called him a racist against the Muslims. First of all, Muslims are part of the Islamic faith. That's a faith. That is a religion. You can't be sexist against religion. You can't be racist against religion. You can be racist against Saudis, Hindus, Hebrews, and the Israelis, because it's a race of people, but, you can't be racist against religion, for one. And two, he's not racist. Then they called him racist for calling African countries shitholes, which they are, including Haiti, which it is too, a shithole, and speaking the truth. Whatever. And then sexist, they call him a sexist and a misogynist, saying he hates women because of one statement that totally should not even be on the same ground as that, which is grab him by the pussy. Grab them by the pussy is the least sexist thing I could think of. If you were sexist against women, you wouldn't say grab them by the pussy. You would say, I'll kill the bitch with a goddamn lawnmower. That's sexist. I hate all women is sexist. Grabbing them by the pussy is not sexist. It's womanizing, but not sexist. There is a difference, you fucking gobhounds. Now, let's really get into the definitions. Sexism is to be condemning one sex, gender, or orientation, sexual orientation that is, on the terms of just because of their gender, race, gender, sex, or sexual preference or orientation. That's sexism. Who does it a lot? The SJWs. Some wanted to actually put straight people in camps because some of them didn't want to date a trans person and called them transphobic because they didn't want to. Having a preference is not sexist. Having a preference is just normal. I have a preference against Latino women, but it's not like I wouldn't date a white person or an Asian or an Irish, as long as they're good people. The only one I really don't have a thing for, based on my preference, is black women. It's nothing personal against them. I think they're awesome people. I have a lot of black friends. Black male and female friends. They're amazing people. They're cool to the fucking core. A lot of them are. At least the ones that really go out of the way to be smart. They're really cool, But they're just not for me. That's it. But that's not sexism. Okay? Sexism is not saying that, oh, hey girl, nice tits. That's not sexist. That's not even a rape. That's not even sexual harassment. Okay? Catcalling is not sexual harassment. I don't want to get into that because I've had enough of that, and I'm not going to divulge into that anymore. Same thing for mansplaining or manspreading, which are made up words. But as for racist, yes, there is a difference between prejudiced and racist. Being prejudiced is basically being a stereotypical person. Thinking that somebody's going to be down the lines of stereotyping. Down the lines of a stereotype. Say, if you're prejudiced against black people, most likely you'll follow the stereotypes of, say, they like grape soda, Kool-Aid, watermelon, fried chicken, and love big asses. That would be stereotyping a black person, and that would be prejudice against them. Not necessarily racist, but It can border on that. There's a very thin line between prejudice and racist. Racist is when you flat out hate a race just because of said race. Case in point, we'll get to them later more. But Black Lives Matter protesters in my own state, up in Chicago, closer to my own city. I've been to Chicago. I'm close to Chicago. Chicago's basically like my own city. Everyone in Illinois, from the trickle-down effect that we call it the avalanche effect. We basically say we're from Chicago because nobody else is going to know any of the other cities from Effingham up, you know? So we say we're from Chicago because of the huge avalanche effect from the politicians. It's a hellhole here. But the protesters in Chicago were screaming out, kill cops and kill all white men. That's racist. Black people can be racist. People at the root are racist. Francesca Ramsey from, what was that show? Decoded, I guess is what it's called. I don't really remember. Is racist. Racist. But it's not to say that, I'm not sitting here and saying that racism doesn't exist with white people against blacks, or blacks against whites, or Asians against, well, everyone. I mean, look at China. But what I will say is it's not as prevalent, okay? And I'm sick and tired of black people acting like slavery still exists, saying, oh, but my oppression, reparations. Bitch, you never had to deal with slavery or being put down, or the civil rights marches, okay? You have better rights now than you ever had. And yes, some cops do go out of their way to attack you. Again, I don't want to get into too much of this. I'll wait till later. But it's valid, okay? I take racism and sexism like this. Morgan Freeman once stated against racism is, in order to stop racism, stop talking about it. Stop bringing up race baiting, stop bringing up race issues, stop bringing up sex issues, all that type of stuff. And eventually, people won't give a shit, okay? Most of us that are normal, thinking, intelligent human beings that have a brain, that use it, don't look for race problems. Don't look at race and go, oh, there's a problem. We don't care, because all races and all sexes are equal. And we know that. Even in this day and age, the gender wage gap that people were going on about, they're taking the earnings, which are yearly, instead of the wages, which are hourly, in consideration to make that wage gap a reality. When in actuality, you get paid the same amount. It's illegal since the Equal Pay Act of 1964. It's illegal. Now, not to say that some government positions don't do it. My grandma works in a bank. It happens. But for the most part, there is gender pay gap, equal pay. The only ones that really need work is maybe some government jobs. And even then, that's still a little squiffy. Earnings is what they're going for. And yes, some women make less than men yearly because of, they take off for time, for holidays, vacations, or sick days, or whatnot, okay? Or for kids. That's understandable, and nobody's going to hold them against it, okay? That's their choice. Whatever. But that's what happened. But, I digress. I'm getting more into this weird issue, and I don't want to divulge too much in it this more. Alrighty. Here's the fourth issue. Supporting Trump. I'm not going to bring politics into this. I just believe that hating on people that supported Trump or Trump himself is getting so out of hand that not only is it not funny anymore to make jokes about him, it's a dead joke. I mean, when comedians go out of their way to make fun of a politician, yeah, for the most part, it's been good. But there hits a point where it stops being funny. Case in point, George W. Bush, whenever he was in office, yeah, it started out funny, it was funny, and then it died within like 2 or 3 years. And people stopped making jokes about him because there was so much other things to make jokes about instead of him. And people were sick and tired of the jokes. Now, Obama didn't get that many jokes I found funny, for the most part, whenever he was in office. But here we have Trump come into office, and almost immediately the jokes are stale. And what I mean by that is, I don't care if you make fun of our president. Our president should be made fun of constantly, no matter who it is. good or bad. Okay? But you constantly were joking about him before he even got elected, and now he got elected and you amped it up to 100% and it got worse. And the reason why it got worse is because you won't let him be. Okay? Let the man fail or do good on his own. We are all Americans. We don't want our president, even if we don't agree with him, to fail. Are you kidding me? If he fails, we fail. And then we should look at ourselves and say, oh, we fucked up. We kicked him out of office and we ruined ourselves. We're at fault. Don't try to say he's at fault. We're at fault. You know why we're at fault? Because we're stupid. Because we did that stupid shit to him. But, of course, you gotta let him sink or swim too, to some degrees, because we can't fully decide what he does. Now, there's a lot of things in the Trump administration that I can go into, but that's discussing politics. And again, I'm not going to discuss that because I don't care either way about politics. It's none of my business, and divulging that on the internet gives too much away, and I'd rather remain mysterious and let everybody know I don't care either way anymore. I don't. Most people that know me know how I was. Now I'm just kind of being calm about it. I don't care. I want my politics to remain mine. I want my religions to remain mine. Because those are the two things that everybody jokes about. But enough about Trump. Done. I've had it. I've got it out of my system. Leave the man be. Let him sink or swim himself. Okay? Stop going after him. Now we get into the points where I really wanted to make this video. Because these were the points that were attacking the things I love the most. Movies, comic books, and video games. And we're going to start off with SJW Comics. Both DC and Marvel have their share of SJW moments. More so with Batgirl for DC. In fact, that's the major one for DC right now. Her ridiculous natures and her ridiculous issues are just, garbage. And that's coming from a die-hard Batman fan. That's killing me, because I've loved Batgirl since her first conception, and now I fucking hate her. You're making me hate her. Like, I almost want to cry with how bad the comics industry is right now. Because Marvel's worse. They've given us these SJW writers to ruin our favorite characters. It's so bad. SJW people have this. I've got some articles here that I could read for you. I'll read the article titles to you, for God's sakes, and then I'll read them for you. Okay? If the first one is, so Captain America is a Nazi now, apparently. They did this. They did this. They turned America's shining star during the World War II and other world wars into a Nazi. And now recently, he's an Antifa member. Oh my God! I'd rather Captain America be frozen in ice or killed at this point, because it's ridiculous. Okay. And on top of that, we have another one that says Deadpool a Deadpool director says Marvel superhero is pansexual. Deadpool is many things. An insane, deadly assassin with a huge comedic streak, breaks the fourth wall, and has a shaky, weird relationship with Death, who is apparently a female. He is not of anything pansexual. He is what he is. He's Deadpool. That's all you can label Deadpool as. To call him pansexual, an orientation that doesn't exist because pansexuals have to love male and female for their personality, that's a bisexual. Get your bullshit out of here. Pansexual does not exist. Okay? Pansexual is not a thing. You mean bisexual. So shut up and say bisexual. You're not special at this point. You're not cool. You're retarded. Get some fucking help. Or I will hit you with a pan and see if you want to fuck the pan. Because that's what a pansexual really is. You want to fuck pans? Be my guest. But moving on. Deadpool is not pansexual. If anything, he can only be bisexual. Well, no, technically in Marvel Universe, he can technically be... Well, no, because there's only male and female, so I don't think that. It's hard to tell what all is. I mean, because technically, even though there are aliens there, it's the same thing for Star Wars. They all have, they're all male and female, regardless of what's going on. You can try your best to try to change them, but they're all male and female. You can make up as many sexes or genders as you want. They're all male and female. Sorry. And here's another one that says, I wish Wonder Woman were as feminist as it thinks it is. And some of the complaints on it, it was written by a woman, by the way. Some of the complaints on it was that Wonder Woman is too sexy looking and not fat enough in her movie to be a true feminist. Wonder Woman was one of the first icons for feminism because she came out in the 40s and started during a time when women weren't really given that, big push. Same thing for like people such as, minorities. Comics were the first ones to give that big push to women empowerment and fucking, minority empowerment. Okay? They were the first ones to start that. Stuff like Black Panther, the X-Men, Wonder Woman, Namor, the Submariner, all those other characters. That's what happened, you know? But everything has been ruined because of the people taking it over now. It's ludicrous. Wonder Woman isn't going forward in female empowerment. She's going backwards because apparently she's now queer too, when in actuality she was straight. She's always been straight. Turning her into a lesbian is changing the character in the worst way possible, and that's ridiculous. You should never try to change a character just based on that. She's not bisexual. She was straight. Okay, so leave it be, guys. Just leave it be. And here's a final one that I'm going to go in with. Kevin Feige states that Captain Marvel is by far the strongest MCU hero. Even the MCU is getting a little bit out of control with that. Now, I'm not going to go fully in details with this because I have another video planned for the MCU and the SJW moments for that. But for Captain Marvel to be stated in the MCU as the strongest, is basically to state that she has no flaws and that she'll take on Thanos and win. That's ridiculous since Captain Marvel couldn't take Thanos on in the comics. And even in a fight with, say, Captain America or the Hulk, she would lose. Technically, she would lose. Hell, even against super-powered beings such as Silver Surfer and the Sentry, Captain Marvel, aka Carol Danvers, couldn't beat them. I'm sorry, it's nearly impossible. I'm sorry, that sounds rude, but it's pretty fucking impossible. It can't happen. But I'm sick and tired of them trying to ruin my comic books and put it in this fucking feminist ideology, this SJW standpoint ideology. You were ruining the things I love. And going on to another thing I love that has been ruined now, apparently, is the Force is female. That's right, Star Wars, being driven by Kathleen Kennedy, has been ruined. Not only does she think that the Force is female is a good slogan, which pushes away male fans, the older male fans, more so than the newer ones. What pisses us off the most is the fact that she said she didn't feel like she had to cater to male fans. Okay, first of all, you have to cater to your fans regardless when it comes to an established movie series. But not catering to male fans. You're only going to cater to female fans. That's retarded. That's bad business right there. Plus, it also doesn't help that apparently I haven't seen The Last Jedi. I heard so many bad things. I couldn't bring myself to do it right now. I'm going to eventually, but for right now, I don't know. Because of all the things I heard. And one of the things I heard was that it was basically an SJW talking point. They had Princess Leia do this kind of stuff to push her aside. There was a minority character that didn't really matter, and she took up most of the space. how hanging out with Finn and all this type of stuff. Ray's this Mary Sue kind of thing, and that's the sad part. I kind of liked Ray. I mean, granted, she was a little fast tracking up and a little bit too smart, it seemed like, for what could possibly be a good character. Like, she was overdoing it in The Force Awakens, but it was never this bad. And now here they are even trying to ruin Ray and the older characters. And Mark Hamill even hates it. I feel so bad because Luke in the movie basically got told by Yoda, from what I've heard, that the Force isn't just based on the midichlorian, that anybody can use the Force no matter what. No, you're destroying George Lucas's creation at that point. The Force isn't just for everyone. You have to have midichlorians in your body in order to use said Force. Are you saying that Rey doesn't have midichlorian in her body and yet she can still use the Force? What is this shit? You ruined a perfect story idea from The Force Awakens just so you could be an asshole. And then comes Solo. I was super hyped for it, and then I heard Lando Calrissian is pansexual. Again, you already know how I feel about pansexual. And two, Lando's not even bi. He's not. He was after Leia in the first appearance he was ever shown. He was after Leia trying to get that booty. So he's obviously not gay or bi. He's straight. Because he never flirted with Han. He never flirted with Luke. He never flirted with Chewie or anybody else but Leia. So no, Lando is not pansexual. And even if he was, why the fuck should his sexual orientation matter in a movie? It doesn't. Leave these bullshit narratives out unless they actually deal with the story itself. Okay? And then there's a droid activist. I'm not saying anything else on that. I refuse. A droid activist. Are you kidding me? So we're moving on from that. I can't handle it anymore. And finally, we come back to BLM. For those of you who don't know what BLM is, Black Lives Matter. These terrorist moving organization has went out of its way to try to kill whites and cops for no reason other than to say, hey, Black Lives Matter. And to state that all lives matter is to be racist, which is stupid. That makes no sense even in a logical brain. Black Lives Matter, I'm not going to spend too much more time on them, are basically like Antifa. They're a terrorist group. That's plain and simple. They're looking for violence to try to kill people that don't agree with them based on the fact that they really are stupid and just want to drive home a stupid message. That makes no fucking sense. I'm done. I don't need to do an Antifa thing. I've already condemned them enough. I'm moving on. And now we go into the movie section of this, female empowerment movies. There was a lot of other things I could have talked about, like the nerd Overboard. It's gonna suck because I love the original with Kurt Russell and Goldie Hawn. Or these other big female empowerment movies, say like Elastigirl from The Incredibles 2 has her empowerment story, and I hope they don't overdo it for this movie. I want The Incredibles 2 to be a good movie. If you overdo it, Pixar, with this whole narrative that, hey, she has to be the better superhero because she's a female, I'm going to flip shit. I'm going to cry and I'm going to stop watching Pixar movies. This isn't a threat. This isn't me just talking a bunch of shit. It's just me making a promise because I'm fed up. Until they make good products again. And Pixar does good products, so I can't see them fucking it up. Well, I mean, Cars 2 was... I liked Cars 2, but most people didn't. Same thing for Toy Story 2. But for the most part, they make good movies, and I can't complain. But please don't overdo it. Don't ruin this for me. I've wanted an Incredibles 2 since the first one came out. It's been one of my favorite movies in the Pixar franchise. It's more important to me than Up or WALL-E or any of the other Pixar movies. Fuck the others. Incredibles and Incredibles 2 have to be the best, in my opinion. But the main ones I want to focus on is newly crafted Ocean's 8 with an all-female cast. I don't mind a lot of the women in this movie. I like Sandra Bullock. I like a lot of them, actually. I think they're really good actors. Actors, actresses, whatever they want to be called. But it's gonna suck because we all know what it's doing. It's to be that female empowerment movie to say, hey, we can do it the same way that the boys did in Oceans 11 and 12. I'd rather suck on a bandsaw until my whole face got sawed in half. But that's not it. Here's the clincher. The new Ghostbusters movie. You all knew this was coming. Look, I don't have a problem with the female ghost fighting team. I had a problem with it being Ghostbusters named. It just had its name. It didn't have anything to do with anything that could have been remotely looked at for a Ghostbusters thing. Okay? Nothing about it screamed Ghostbusters. It just had the nostalgic name. It didn't have any nostalgic value to watch it. It didn't even have any good commentary. No good comedy. Nothing. No good interactive characters. None we can get on board. It had some terrible actors in it. I'm sorry. Leslie Jones is an unfunny black man. Thank you, Milo, for that one. Thank you. Who can't act and is not funny at all on Saturday Night Live or anything. Ever. Same thing goes for, what is her name? Kate McKinnon. She's not funny. She's awful. Her comedy is just awful. Fucking one of the worst Saturday Night Live cast members ever. The only good one they have now, since Bill Hader's gone, is Kenan Thompson. And that's pushing it. But even Melissa McCarthy annoys me sometimes, okay? There have been a few good movies with her, and she's iffy, but she's not always funny. And it has to deal with the writing sometimes to make her funny. But the only one that I liked was, what is her name? Kristen Wiig. Kristen Wiig is in the movie, and I love Kristen Wiig. I think she's hilarious. But even she's not good in this movie. From the trailer, this is all I'm getting from the trailer. I refuse to watch this movie. I have a deep hatred for this movie because of what they're trying to do. They're trying to ruin Ghostbusters. They've already ruined Star Wars. And Ghostbusters and Star Wars and Jaws are the movies you never fuck with. You never ruin them. And they ruined 2 out of 3. God forbid they touch Jaws, which I fucking hope to and pray that it never happens. But yeah, I'm sick and tired of these female empowerment movies. As if to say, females can do it too. Watch these movies. Females are just as good as you are. Yeah, females just as good as us, okay? They are. We don't need it brainwashing in our heads anymore. We get that. We've always thought that. If you're good thinking people, we always thought they were just as equal to us. Biologically thinking, yes. Some females can't do as much as we can. We are biologically created to be those heavy lifters and those power-based people. Now, granted, I have a strong upper torso, and I have some decent leg strength too, but I could never beat a woman at for strength or other convictions. I'm sorry. Men probably are worse than females, and I'll be the first one to admit it. But we do have strength on our side, more so than even women. And now we go on to video games. I hate how people somehow portray video games. No matter who it is, left, right, doesn't matter. If you portray video games as terrible recruiting tools to make people school shooters or to fucking kill people for no reason, you're retarded. And there's no correlation between them. But with the worst offender, by far, Anita Sarkeesian. That bitch Never played a game in her life until she started doing a thing for her school. Did even stated she didn't like video games, but then went back on that and said, "No, no, no! I've always played video games. I love video games." Hosts a show that has got to be one of the worst shows to gaming since, well, ever, and literally goes out of her way to attack all male gamers, not even female gamers. She doesn't condemn the bad female gamers. God forbid, right? It's always the males that do something wrong in her eyes. You know, and it's not just her. Her goddamn stupid cuck, fucking soy boy little writer. I don't even know his name, and I don't care to look it up right now because he doesn't matter. Literally, if he died in a fire right now, I wouldn't have cared. I'd probably laugh or dance on his grave. He's that awful of a human being. But, like, she and him are just two of the worst people trying to condemn video games for no reason. And one of the worst offenses she said was she tries to take the fantasy out of fantasy-based games. Such a good example. Metal Gear Solid 5. The Phantom Pain had a character called Quiet. Scantily dressed assassin. Come on. Most males are going to be on board for that. And yes, some females or some guys are not going to be for that. That's fine. That's okay. And yes, it does get a little much. But, whatever. But she tried to condemn Quiet's reasons for dressing like that as being oppression to women. The reason why Quiet is scantily clad is because she has to. She has a parasite in her body that won't allow her to breathe if she wears so much clothes. It will literally suffocate her to death. It's fantasy. It's cool. That's a cool backstory. It's fantasy. That's awesome that you created that. That's cool. I have no problem with that. But Anita Sarkeesian does. But then again, she doesn't matter. If she got hit by a bus, I think we'd all be happy. We'll dance the dance of joy. And I'm sick and tired of wasting my time on her because she doesn't need any more time. I give her more time and it's just going to cause problems. Or she's going to try to flag me because, oh no, I mentioned her. Well, she's irrelevant now. She's losing a lot of subs and viewership. She's irrelevant now. But I had to get it off my chest because she still kind of annoys me with her past behavior. And then we move on to problem personalities. The YouTube scene is filled with a lot of problem personalities, but so is the celebrity scene. I'm only going to divulge into a couple. Asian Jake Paul is a terrible individual, a terrible human being. Logan Paul with his horrible, horrible Suicide Forest video. Oh, and let's not forget people like, what's her name, Wow Vicky, who thinks she's black when she's so obviously white. She's god-awfully stupid. And then the SJW YouTubers, such as Kevin Logan, Fat Fully Fully, who speaks with dolls and has a huge infatuation with Lacey Green, even though he shouldn't. He's very creepy. What's his name? Steve Shives, who by this point, now that I've just mentioned him, he's probably blocked me on Twitter, even though my Twitter does not work because I don't have a Twitter. And the worst offender, Dr. Christy Winters, aka Fisty Splinters. It's not defamation, it's a caricature. Created by Bearing, by the way. Congrats to getting your channel back. I'm glad you're back. It sucked that you got terminated for a while, but I'm glad you're back. She was trying so hard to get him terminated, and he did for a while, but good on him for getting back. Christy Winters is one of the worst because she will go out of her way to defame anyone she seems fit. And when she starts throwing mud or bullshit at them on the internet, and she gets any kind of criticism, she'll call it sexual harassment and rape, or death threats, or bullshit, misogyny, basically. And she's an idiot. And she's supposed to be a fucking doctor. She has a fucking doctorate. In what? Ideology? Stupidology? No, I got it. Gender studies. That's a useless degree. That's about as useless as my fucking degree if I was to be if my major was theater arts, even though it was my minor. If I was to get a major in theater arts and got a bachelor's degree in fine arts for that, I'd be useless too. I mean, I would still go pursue being an actor and all that stuff, but it's useless. It Art degrees are useless too. Okay, I'm sorry. That's the truth. Some people can get lucky and others can't. You got lucky being a cunt on the internet. So, I guess, congratulations. Uh, I mean, you're doing well, so I can't say anything. I have nothing but best of luck for you. I don't want to condemn you. You're doing you stupid shit, and I'll do my stupid shit, so we'll be happy. I still think you're a problem, though, because you're trying to destroy other people's freedom of speeches, and it's ridiculous. Also, no, I gotta say that for later, but we'll move on to this next section, where another problem YouTuber lies, which is vegan gains, and we're gonna talk about vegans. Vegan gains, I don't remember his full name, is a sociopath who was threatened to not only kill somebody with a knife, recorded his grandfather dying of a heart attack to prove that this is what red meat does to you, and why you should go vegan, and then even put a Czechoslovakian wolfhound on a vegan diet, which technically would kill the dog. So he's an asshole. Oh, but vegans on the whole, well, I don't hate vegans, and I implore you to do what you will. I will say two things. One, you will need to have meat back in your system of any kind, because supplements can only take you so far. I know I used to date a chick who was a vegetarian and a vegan, and she had to go back on it because the supplements was not working for her. You are literally killing your body. It'll work for a while, but then you'll kill your body and it'll just be bad. You need meat in your system. Two, I don't mind that you're vegans. Just don't come off as a pompous asshole on the line and say, we're better because we don't eat meat, and that all meat eaters are going to hell. It's ridiculous. That's stupid. You're an asshole. Shut up. And that's all I need to say about vegans, because we all know what vegans are, we all know who they are, and we all know how they act. So, do we really need to spend more time on people that really don't matter? And now we move into another huge topic. We'll get this out of the open, and we're going to make this quick too. Rape culture. We do not live in a rape culture. And I'll tell you why. In order to live in said rape culture, let's break this down. What is the word rape? Well, the word rape means to forcibly attack in a sexual manner another person, male or female. Because, listen guys, men can get raped too. It happens. And not just in prison. Shut up. But that's what rape is. Now, what does culture mean? Culture is a group of people in society that share certain traits, share certain morals, values, all that type of stuff, traditions, so to speak. That is a culture. Being a Cherokee person, Cherokee Indians have a certain culture. Oriental people, like Koreans, have a certain culture. I'm not going to talk about cultural appropriation right now. That stays for later. But in order to live in said rape culture, here, we'll put them together now. To live in a rape culture, you would need to live in a culture that doesn't condemn rape, glorifies the rapist instead of putting them in jail, and, oh yeah, everybody has to be rapists. So, no, we don't live in a rape culture. Our rapists go to jail. They are condemned. A lot of them go to jail for long, long prison sentences. I feel like serial rapists should actually be on death row. That's just my opinion. But, you know, I digress. But yeah, we condemn our rapists and they go to prison. Except for the women. Ironically, the women rapists, if they do get convicted, have lenient sentences in comparison to the male counterparts, which is ridiculous. They should be equal. Also, I find it equally ironic is that me talking about a rape culture is going to imply that some people are going to inevitably bring up in the comments if they see this video, Brock Turner. And let me tell you one thing about Brock Turner. What he did is horrific. What he did was deplorable, and nobody, you know, can, you know, we lift him up, basically, for what he did. No, we don't lift him up. We condemn him just as much as everyone else does. But the thing about him is he had an asshole judge. It has nothing to do with privilege, which I should have probably said for later, but again, fuck it. Privilege, white privilege doesn't exist. There is a certain privilege, but it's rich privilege, okay? Eat that. That's all I need to say on that. But as for Brock Turner, it's not quite privilege. Sure, it's rich privilege, if anything, but it's not white privilege. White people don't have privilege over every other race. And even if they did, where is it at? Where's mine? But, you know, so we don't live in a rape culture, and white privilege isn't a thing. Now, anti-guns. I'm not going to discuss anti-guns or actual gun control or anything of that nature, because that's too political. What I'm really going to focus on is the people that believe that having no guns or a stricter gun control is going to help us. No. Anybody that wants guns are going to get it regardless of how many limitations and restrictions you put on it. And two, David Hogg is one of the worst offenders of being an anti-gun person because he, A, has conflicting stories based on the events that transpired with the Parkland school shooting, which, by the way, is a terrible thing, and my condolences go out to the families of those victims lost. That is awful what happened, and if there was a way I could actually help you out, I would love to help you out. But I just got a little depressed. I don't like talking about school shooting because I don't mind if, say, a human being, like a normal human being, gets shot. It doesn't bother me so much as like a kid or a baby getting shot. That doesn't terrify me. It kills me. I know I joke about having a black heart to any of my friends watching this, but that kills me. It kills me seeing kids or babies actually getting shot. You know, that hurts, and I wish there was a way of stopping these school shootings much more than we've done. Anyway, back to David Hogg. David Hogg wasn't really there, and I don't care if he wants to be anti-gun or anything like that, but he's a fucking moron, and he's going about it the wrong way. And trying to get somebody fired from their sponsors just because they didn't agree with you and they called you out on their bullshit, you're being an asshole. So, shut up. Now, we get into this next topic, freed speech attacked. We're finally here, we're finally at the breaking point. The freedom of speech breaking point. I just need to say this one more time. Don't condemn anybody for stating their opinions on any side. That's why we have freedom of speech. The only times freedom of speech should be attacked or harassed if they say something bad, inherently racist, there will be consequences. Yes, I understand that. But, you know, you shouldn't try to get them fired for their opinions or all that stuff. Let other people handle it. Okay? And two, the only times that anybody should be looked at badly for what they've stated is if it goes against the First Amendment, which is inciting of violence and defamation of a person. And with that being said, I'm done. That was simple and it was easy and it was to the point. Now we're down to two more topics and let's get right into these. The next one, cultural appropriation. We as a society believe wearing certain things is cultural appropriation. We're appropriating a culture and making it look what? Bad? No, it's more like cultural celebration. Cultural. We look at we look at it as cultural appropriation, cultural. It should be cultural celebration, cultural appreciation, because we look at it as a fucking as appreciating a culture. Case in point, recently there was a girl at her prom. I don't know her name, but it was all over the news. Wore a Chinese dress to prom. It was a beautiful, lovely dress. She was a beautiful, lovely woman who wore a beautiful, lovely Chinese dress. And somebody on the internet, most of the Chinese people were all for it. They were like, yes, But one dumbass Oriental decided he was going to throw a fit and state, my culture is not your fucking prom dress. Basically, is what he stated. Okay, so nobody can wear an Indian hair dress. I'm sorry, a feather head dress. Wear big ass chains and hats sideways, as well as do-rags. Shorts all the way down to their ass crack showing. Or uh, drive lowriders, or etc. etc. I know I'm going into stereotypes, but follow me with this. We technically can't celebrate a certain culture just because we like that culture. I call bullshit, but I digress. And here we are, the final topic. I know you've all been waiting for it. What's it gonna be? Me too. Hashtag Me Too started last year with the Harvey Weinstein scandal. And I'm going to talk serious for a moment. I want to get the serious nature out, and I want to end it quickly. What Harvey Weinstein did, if he did do those horrible things, it's still up in the air because innocent until proven guilty should still be a thing. But if he did what he did, if any of those so-called people that actually did do sexual harassment things are convicted, as horrible, it should be looked at badly, it should be frowned upon, shouldn't be celebrated or anything. They should lose their career. They shouldn't be doing anything. But there is a difference. Louis C.K. shouldn't be on that list for one reason, because he didn't harass them, or he didn't sexually assault them or molest them. He asked them if they wanted to see him masturbate, and they didn't say no. Not really sexual molestation, is it? It's pretty weird, but not sexual molestation. On the other hand, what Kevin Spacey quite possibly did is wrong. And if he did do it, that's terrible. Because it's already almost been pretty much confirmed that he had done this previously to a 14-year-old Anthony Rapp. And while I do love him as an actor, I can't condone what he did with Anthony Rapp. I can't condone him doing any of that if it really did happen. But there's other people that they were trying to condemn, such as Enzo Amore, Garrison Keillor, whatever his last name is, and all these other people, and Morgan Freeman recently, for touching somebody's back, consoling him. God forbid, or fucking, and the Enzo Amore and Scott Baio ones, they actually got cleared because they found nothing wrong with them. And, well, maybe not so much on Scott Baio, but he got cleared, he didn't do anything. That's basically how it is. Whereas other people like Bill Cosby, who quite possibly didn't do any of that stuff, got convicted of being guilty, even though the testimonies that the judge heard came from drug addicts and compulsive liars. You're going to take compulsive liars and drug addicts' words over somebody who's been known to really, who's had a PhD and a doctorate and all this other type of shit, there's something fishy about that. Now, do I think that there's a possibility he could have done it? Yeah, I still think anybody is capable of anything. But they were known drug addicts. They had a lot of drug issues, and they were compulsive liars looking for money. Some of these were brought up years ago just for looking for money, and now it's just finally coming to be worse. Nowadays, anything in the Me Too movement is condemned. You can't do anything with a woman because they may try to throw you under the bus. And it's gotten so bad that whenever Liam Neeson and Matt Damon and others have tried to call it a witch hunt or try to condemn it for going overboard, that they were effectively, riddled with criticism. They were attacked verbally almost, and it's ridiculous. And the Me Too movement is healthy because if you are seriously going out of your way to attack or to get rid of these horrible individuals, if they really did do it, then congratulations, you got rid of a horrible person out of your life and you put them in jail where they deserve to be, where they should be buried under the prison. But if you're just doing this to ruin somebody else's careers because you didn't like their ideals, or didn't agree with them, or you had a bad date with them in the case of Aziz Ansari, then you are just a fucking awful human being. And I have no words for you. Because I don't. It's just people like you are what makes America have these problems. And you don't realize that. Anyway, I've gotten my rant off. Finally done this video, and it's technically in 2 parts now because I got stopped at an hour mark from the webcam that I'm doing with Windows Movie Maker Live. So I'm just going to end it here. For those of you watching that are my fans, I'm glad that you watched all the way through. I'm glad that I have you as my fans. I hope you maybe agreed with some of my stuff. If you didn't, that's fine. You have your opinions. The only thing I ask is not to come on to my video to spread hate or to attack me verbally. That's all I ask. I mean, you can have your opinions and state I don't agree in a civilized manner. That's fine. Because everybody should do that. But I just wanted to get this off my chest because I feel like the world is getting a little too crazy, and being a person that wants to be an actor and a director and a screenplay writer and all this other stuff, it's going to be tough now. Now that all this stuff has happened, it's going to be tougher, and I'm willing to make the uphill climb, but I want to make sure that I don't overdo things or that I'm misconstrued. And now I have to watch myself more carefully. I'm always going to be that person that will never give a shit about what I say, because I will speak blunt about all the things that are real. And I won't apologize for it, unless it's like Roseanne Barr's racist tweet. If I ever did one, then yeah, I would apologize, because that deserves an apology. But I think that's it. So just glad you guys watched and watched all the way through, and I will see you in another video whenever I finally get the rest of this out and I do other stuff. So thank you for watching. I appreciate it.